It's been almost 20 years since Ted Kaczynski, known as the Unabomber, was captured at his remote cabin in Montana. Ted's brother, David Kaczynski, has just written a memoir. In it, Every Last Tie, the story of the Unabomber and his family. It's where he talks about his agonizing decision to turn in his brother. But it wasn't David that first suspected Ted. It was actually David's wife, Linda Patrick, who had never even met Ted. John Siegenthaler spoke to Linda earlier this week and asked her how she figured out what the FBI couldn't in its 17-year manhunt.
Well, Dave and I married in 1990, and so I was just beginning to learn about his family, and I was a kind of an outsider. His father was already dead, but whenever David and his mother came together, they would spend a couple hours talking about Ted. And I was an outsider kind of sitting on the rim just listening to what they were talking about. And they were always worried about Ted, worried that Ted had cut off communications with his parents, that he might have heart problems. And his letters to David and his letters to his parents were so filled with anger. And David and his mother couldn't understand this. So they would talk, hour after hour, trying to figure out what they did wrong or what they could do to help Ted. It seemed as though Ted was mentally ill, so his family members didn't want to acknowledge that, but I was leaning towards the notion that, yeah, this person is mentally ill.
How painful was it for your family?
I think for Dave's mother, it was very painful. For David, it's still painful for Dave. Not only because Ted had cut off all communication with his mother and Dave, but also just to think that here was someone that they raised, and they raised to be intelligent, raised to be at home in wild nature, and raised to be, thoughtful about other people. And yet somehow this all broke down. So that and then to turn in a family member, that is very, very heartbreaking. It had to be done. We had to stop. We had to stop him. We had to stop the killing. But for the family members, it was much more difficult than it was for me.
Linda, it was good to talk to you. Thank you very much for sharing your story.
Okay, thank you too. Bye-bye.